People can categorize all kinds of things. Geologists categorize rocks, astronomers categorize different types of stars and planets. A political scientist will categorize different kinds of political systems. Philosophers have long been interested in categorizing different arguments or maybe patterns of inference or types of reasoning. And there's one difference besides categorizing them. Philosophers have also been interested in evaluating them or saying when they can be good. And here you have in front of you the basic structure of any argument. There's going to be the premises, and those are claims that support the conclusion. And what we can say is that there's two ways this inference can go. First one is that your premises are true. And secondly, even if your premises are true, if they're completely unrelated to the conclusion, you do not have a good argument. To make things complicated, the authors talk about three different types of good connection. All right, so the first kind is an abductive inference. This is reasoning to a conclusion because doing so helps explain things. So imagine you walk outside of your house and you see that there's a lot of smoke coming out of your neighbor's house, and a bunch of firefighters are throwing water through the window. And then you come to the conclusion, oh, it must be on fire. And why? Because otherwise it just would not make sense of what you know. And so you come to that belief because it explains what you're seeing. All right, the next kind of inference or argument is called induction. And this is coming to a generalization or making a prediction on the basis of some cases. So imagine I say that every time I skip breakfast, I get cranky before lunch. Therefore, being hungry must make me hangry. Okay, and then deduction is the most confusing because I think it's most out of the ordinary. So what I'm going to do now is go to the board and discuss it. So we say that a deductive argument is valid when the truth of the premises guarantees the truth of the conclusion. So you assume that the premises are true, and if the conclusion is guaranteed to be true, then you have a valid argument. If there's one scenario where the premises are true and the conclusion is false, no matter how wild the scenario, then you say the argument is invalid. And best we look at some examples to get the idea. So here's a valid argument. If I'm a human, then I'm a mammal. I'm a human, therefore I'm a mammal. It's impossible for the premises to be true and the conclusion false. How about this one? If I'm a dog, then I'm a mammal. I'm a dog, thus I'm a mammal. Here we have a false premise, but if it were true, if I were a dog, and if this were true, then the conclusion must follow. All right, now here's one that you might intuitively think is invalid, but is actually valid. It's the same structure. If I'm a pumpkin, then I'm a planet. I'm a pumpkin, therefore I'm a planet. You might say, well, that's crazy because you're getting to a false conclusion and that's false. How can you say that argument is valid? This is why I said at the beginning that there was two ways to assess an argument. First, the truth of the premises, and then the connection. So what I'm saying here is that the connection or the support is good, even though the premises are not true. So the premises are false. Number one is false. Number two is false. But that's not what validity is concerned about. It's concerned about the connection, and the point is that the connection is a valid connection. So here's an invalid argument. If I'm hungry, then I eat. I am eating, thus I'm hungry. If someone were to tell you this, you would think that's valid, but this is actually invalid. It might be true that every time I'm hungry, I eat, and it might be true that I am eating right now, but I never said that I only eat when I'm hungry. I could be eating just for fun. And so, since it's possible for the premises to be true and the conclusion false, this is an invalid argument.